You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of GHS-TV's award-winning talk show, Crosstalk. I'm your host, Scarlett Simpson. We're here in downtown Memphis, one of the most culturally and historically rich areas in the country. Home to the legendary Beale Street, it offers many people around the world thrills that makes this city a thriving tourist spot. Today, we will discuss the legendary street and its connection to the Center for Southern Folklore. Joining me now to talk about Beale Street and the Center for Southern Folklore is Judy Peiser, co-founder for the Center for Southern Folklore and an expert on the history of Beale Street. Ms. Peiser, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm happy to be here. It's a beautiful day.
We're here at the Old Daisy Theater, which has been a building on Beale since 1917 and was also a former home.
It was a Center for Southern Folklore, but it was, for many years, it was an amazing theater, and many people came here. That was their first time that they saw a movie there here, and so that a lot of people, that was their first experience. I remember when B.B. King came in here, when we opened up the center here, he was just reminiscing about how many times he had been in here and been across the street, and many people like Rufus and B, who were good friends of mine, all talked about Beale Street, and they were all here when we opened this place. Seems like a long time ago, yeah.
Well, during the 20th century, Beale Street was the business and entertainment mecca for African Americans living in the Mid-South. What was it about Beale Street that drew people since the beginning?
The people drew it. I mean, this was a street that had owned by Jewish people, Italian people, Greek people, and it evolved as a street for African American people. People could shop. They lived all around in homes and houses and apartments all around here, and they would come to Beale to do shopping, to be seen, to have entertainment, and it was their home.
In the early 1900s, Beale Street was filled with clubs, restaurants, and shops, many of them owned by people with different backgrounds. Can you talk about the significance of this?
It was a street for many different people of all different ethnic backgrounds, and around here they were all apartment buildings and homes, and so at the end of the evening, when people came home from work, they would come to Beale Street to maybe get a beer, to maybe be entertained, to hear a show. But it was a business area. I mean, people could buy clothes like at Schwab's and many other places on the street. And so it was an important mercantile area as well as an entertainment area.
At Schwab's, which is the oldest surviving business on Beale. It's also the most eclectic store. Can you tell us the story about it?
Well, first of all, you have to realize that when Beale Street was first Beale Street, there weren't bars and clubs. There were stores just like this. And so Schwab's is one of the stores. It was one of the first mercantile stores in downtown and on Beale Street. Now, and there used to be, they would go across the street and see what one person was selling something for, and they walk and change their price over here. This is a street, but around here there were all apartments and houses, and so the clientele that came to Beale Street was not just going out for an evening of entertainment. They were going to buy clothes, to buy food, to buy everything, and so this was that major street for the purchase of clothing and food and things like that, at first for the African American community and then for the entire community.
Behind us is the old location for Lansky's, where Hard Rock Cafe is located now. Lansky's was well known for dressing the king, aka Elvis Presley. Can you tell us a story about the Lansky brothers and Elvis Presley?
Well, Elvis didn't have a lot of money. And and the Lanskys really liked him. They liked his music, and so they began helping him get his clothes. And by getting his clothes, he always looked good, and he always dressed in Lansky Brothers clothes, and that was the relationship. They liked him. They had clothes. They all worked together, and they all made money.
Well, we've spoken about the rich history of Beale Street, but what do you see in its future?
Well, I think that all downtown is booming, and I think that Beale Street will continue to be an entertainment district, hopefully more and more really good entertainment, but tourists know Beale Street because of B.B. King, because of the blues, because of W.C. Handy, and because of these are the musical icons of Memphis and Memphis music, from blues to jazz. Beale Street was that place, and so I think it'll always be an important part in the city's redevelopment as it grows and prospers.
Well, Miss Peiser, thank you so much for taking this walk with me on Beale Street.
Cool, glad I could do it.
We have to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll go to the Center of Southern Folklore and talk more with Miss Peiser.
It's the one time of year when the bargains come to you. Germantown High School Television's Auction 2018, right here on GHS-TV.org. Bid on great items like theater tickets, restaurant gift certificates, artist prints, and much more. Online bidding begins April 14th, and be sure to tune into the live broadcast hosted by members of the community, alumni, and students. Saturday, April 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. on GHS-TV.org. All proceeds benefit GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student TV station. Bid online and don't miss your chance to win.
Hello and welcome to Cable Quiz, the academic.
Do you know how incredible it is to work at a TV station in high school?
GHS-TV is a student-run television station.
There's so many things you can do here at GHS-TV. You can be in front or behind the camera or both. You have that opportunity. There are no limits.
We have sports and we have news and we have entertainment. So the students here get a well-rounded view of what it's like to be in the TV field.
It's my life. It's what I want to do.
From all of us here at GHS-TV, thanks for starting your morning with us. For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. We're here at the Center for Southern Folklore, located just off of Beale Street and Main Street. This popular hangout is a mixture of nightclub, coffee house, and museum. We're here again with Judy Peiser to talk about the center's history and its importance in the area. Well, Ms. Peiser, we're here at the Center for Southern Folklore. Thank you so much for inviting us. Well, you found the center in 1972 with William Ferris. What inspired you to found it?
I was a filmmaker, and I was working at Mississippi Educational Television. And Bill was a filmmaker, and he was a PhD in folklore. And we started talking and realized that neither of us could do what we really wanted to do in a TV station. And so we formed the Center for Southern Folklore, and we started making films about mule traders and faith healers and gospel singers, everything about the South that was not really documented or recorded. And we started, when we made those films, and all of a sudden there were people around the country that wanted to see them, and so we were invited to TV stations, to universities, to all kind of people to talk about our work. And we realized there's something about this work that people are interested in. And so we formed the center, and we started making more films, and then we moved from Beale Street to Main Street and kept the spirit alive. And we've had many interns that have worked for us. And to me, we've been able to capture many, many stories and music and tales that people would have forgotten about. Like Ray Lum said, you live and learn, and then you die and forget it all. And so he was a mule trader. And so I believe that what we've been able to do is to really make a difference in people's lives, because one, we were able to interview them and the pride that they had after they were interviewed, and then share their stories and their memories with people from the Smithsonian to small towns in America to our Music and Heritage Festival. And I believe that we've made a difference in the way people think about their lives.
Well, the center has had many homes downtown, from the old Daisy Theater, which we talked about in the previous segment, to where we are now. What drew you to all these places?
Well, I mean, it's always a thing about dinero. And the center, people liked the center, but we didn't have the kind of funds that we really needed to have to maintain a big facility. And so for several years, we moved from different places until the Bells family invited us to come here, which we pay for a room, a big hall here in our back hall, and we're able to do many, many things. We do a Music and Heritage Festival every Labor Day weekend. That there's a stage in here, a stage in our back hall, and 3 stages outside. We have marching bands, we have choirs, we have everybody dancing, and all of it is focused on region, because I think that you can't talk about the world here, but you can talk about who we are and what we are, whether it's a musician or a lawyer or whatever it is. We're able to share those experiences with many, many people.
Well, the institution has produced an array of arts. How do you decide which ones you'd like to produce?
Well, it happens. I mean, it just happens, because there are people that we've presented we now document everybody at our festival. So, you know, if you're in the festival, you're recorded. And my goal is to make many more videos that share their music, whether, you know, it's a talker, a trader, a musician, a craftsperson. You know, to me, everybody has a story to tell. And if we're able to tell that story well, we've made a difference in their lives and in our lives.
What influenced you to pursue media and come back to Memphis?
When I graduated the University of Illinois, I was from here, but I went up there. And at that point, the media, by the time I was almost finished in college, the media became the message. It was Marshall McLuhan and all these people. And I began to think about that. And then I came back here, and one of the men here, David Yellen, was one of my teachers. And he basically said, you can do anything you want to do. And so during that time, we made a big film about the war on poverty, because Dr. King was killed, and there was a very important thing to talk about poverty and what was happening in Memphis. And so we made films on that. And then I met this guy, Bill Ferris, and we started making films about cultural things. And it just kind of grew. And I've been lucky enough to be able to show films at the Smithsonian, you know, at the Museum of Natural History in New York, in Vietnam, wherever. And because I believe that the stories that we're able to tell about people and culture help people share their own culture with each other.
Well, Ms. Peiser, the center is a nonprofit organization, so what ways do you raise money?
Well, do you have any money now? I can take some from you. We raise money from school, we do a lot of fundraising because we do a lot of tours and programs here, but we also raise money from foundations, from, you know, groups like the National Endowment for the Arts and Humanities. It takes a lot to make a difference in people's lives, and it takes a lot to raise the money to make that difference.
In its 1984 register, Esquire magazine named you one of the young people changing America.
How'd you find that, child?
Do you still believe that you're doing that?
I believe that every day I wake up to make a difference in people's lives. I was trained that way as a kid. You know, I'm Jewish, and I believe that that's the way that you should live your life. And I believe that everything that we do can make a difference if we try to make that difference.
How do you combine the past and present at the center to make sure that everyone knows what Memphis is really about?
Well, we do a lot of programming in here. We have a lot of school groups here, and these school groups are cool. They're young kids, old kids. And so when we do programming, like we have a musician that will come on the stage and talk to us about the music and culture that they grew up with. And I might have then a hip hop kid come and do something, and, you know, so and at our festival we do everything. We do traditional musical things as well as all kind of new music and culture and dance. And because of that, we bring people together, because everything is for the spirit of their music and their culture of whatever age they are. And I believe that by doing that, we've made a huge difference in many people's lives.
Can you tell us about your documentary, Hush, Hoggies, Hush?
I can. Mr. Johnson was from the Delta of Mississippi. And when Bill and I were out filming all different kind of things, he says, let's go by and talk to Mr. Johnson. So we went by and talked to Mr. Johnson. That day, he was in a suit because he'd been to the doctor, but he still did it. So he called the pigs. He says he's trained pigs. He called the pigs up and he said, hush, hoggies, hush. And they get right up to the place where they would eat all their food. And then he would say a prayer, and they all ate. And that's what the film is. It's a 4-minute film about hush, hoggies, hush, about training pigs to pray before they eat.
Well, Ms. Peiser, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for coming here and filming this. We really appreciate it.
We have to take another break. When we come back, we will hear from Zeke Johnson, a featured artist from the Center for Southern Folklore.
It's the one time of year when the bargains come to you. Germantown High School Television's Auction 2018, right here on GHS-TV.org. Bid on great items like theater tickets, restaurant gift certificates, artist prints, and much more. Online bidding begins April 14th, and be sure to tune into the live broadcast hosted by members of the community, alumni, and students. Saturday, April 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. on GHS-TV.org. All proceeds benefit GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student TV station. Bid online and don't miss your chance to win.
I think one of the things that sets us apart from other schools or other productions that are doing this is that our kids are 100% in charge of what they're doing.
We sell the ads, we build the stage, we make the costumes.
Working in this environment, I've learned to appreciate everything that's given to me because not many high schools have programs like this.
When I first started in this program, my first musical was Hairspray. And now, 4 years later, I'm in my last musical, The Mystery of Edwin Drood. And looking back, I think I've progressed a lot.
To see them now as seniors and to see the people that they have become, it's changed me more than I think it's changed them.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit GHSKappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. Previously, we spoke with Judy Peiser on the history of Beale Street and what part the Center for Southern Folklore has to play in it. Now we will speak with Zeke Johnson, a musician who frequents at the Center for Southern Folklore. Zeke, thank you so much for being on the show today.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, you grew up around a family who enjoyed singing and playing instruments.
Yes.
Is that what inspired you to go into music?
Oh, absolutely. Singing, always in the church, I would sit with the grown men so I could sing bass with my daddy.
Well, can you tell us about the time you saw Elvis? It was before he hit the big time.
This is why I will never say anything bad about Elvis. You know, I was just past 12. I had a broken arm. And I was a country boy in town. I was overweight, and the girls had not discovered me like I had discovered them. And when I went to get his autograph, he put his arm around me and he said, "Fella, I know how you got that broken arm. A couple of the girls that you've been stringing along caught up with you." Well, for my hero to say something to me about success with women, and one of my biggest crushes, by the way, was Bill Black's sister, who was a gorgeous girl. But I don't care what Elvis did wrong later on. He was good to me when I needed figure to be really, really good to me, and so I'll love him forever for that. I also liked his music pretty well.
Well, how did you get into blues? Did you stumble upon it, or did someone introduce you?
Oh, actually, it started a little bit with the, I saw the bio film with Nat Cole about W.C. Handy. And then shortly after that, Joe Derensburg record of the Yellow Dog Blues came out, and I went out and bought that immediately. And I was hooked. And then when I got into folk music, just Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, all those, I went to the Bitter Lemon to hear Forey Lewis. I had no earthly idea who Forey Lewis was. And when I heard that sound, I knew that's what I wanted to play. You know? Now I've continued to do folk and country and a little rock and roll and quite a bit of gospel, but and it's strange stuff that I write. I'm not even sure what we call that, but after hearing Forey the first time and getting him to show me how to tune that guitar, that's what I wanted to do.
Well, how do you think that Memphis blues compares to other blues styles?
The difference in, it's got a little more polish than Mississippi. It has less polish than New Orleans. I just recently wrote a song about New Orleans where it said, I'm from the home of the blues, and New Orleans is the cradle of jazz. Blues comes from the cotton field. Jazz got more razzmatazz. Of course, St. Louis is famous for ragtime. As famous as Memphis is for jug band music, Louisville and Birmingham were before Memphis in the jug band era. And here's a little plug for myself. I have a sometimes jug band called Zeke's Three Generation Jug Rascals. And they're featured a lot on my most recent CD.
Well, you were a part of the Memphis community when rock and roll came around.
Yes.
Can you talk about the transitions you saw throughout the community?
Oh, it was just, I was very fortunate in this way. My parents did not forbid me to listen to black music. And I mean, a lot of kids did. A lot of parents would say, okay, you can listen to black music or white music, but you can't listen to white folks and black folks sing together. Well, Daddy liked Elvis. Daddy even liked Little Richard, although he had thoughts about Little Richard that were uncomplimentary. I loved Laverne Baker, who wrote and sang Jim Dandy. It just all changed. Judy Collins talks about how it all changed in '65 when folk rock came out. It changed in '56 too. Used to watch the Your Hit Parade, Lucky Strike Your Hit Parade, every week, and those people tried their hardest to be true to the form and sing the top 40 songs, but rock and roll beat them. I mean, they were all 40s crooners and songbirds, and rock and roll beat them. They just couldn't do it. It went out of business 58 or 59, something like that.
Well, Zeke, thank you so much. It's been great to hear about your music, but now let's hear some. Here is Zeke Johnson with Beale Street Blues.
This song is always for Mary G. Wouldn't you like to know who she is? The 7 wonders of the world I've seen. And many other places I have been. You better take my advice. See Beale Street twice. You see beautiful girls, beautiful gowns, tailor-made and hand-me-downs. See honest men, pickpocket skill out, and business never closes till somebody gets killed. I'd rather be in any place I know. gonna make me go. Y'all listen in that. Yeah, Beale Street could talk. Beale Street could talk. Married men have to take their beds up and walk. Except for a few, never drank booze, and the blind man on the corner who sings the Beale Street blues. I'd rather be here, woo, in any place I know. Oh, it's gonna take a start to make me go. Tell about it, guitar. What? Tell them what now? Talk about that old Beale Street there, son. Zeke's gonna go to the river, oh, by and by. I'm gonna head to the river, great Lord, by and by. How come you gonna do that, man? 'Cause the river is wet, the river is wet, and Beale Street has done torn dry. So we're gonna sing it again. I'd rather be here in a place I know. I'd rather be here than in a place I know. Oh, it's gonna take a sight. Gonna take the police. Might even take a whole damn army to make me go. Oh, Beale, ain't you something?
Beale Street is the South's musical and cultural heartbeat, and with the help from the Center for Southern Folklore, music will continue to spill out on the streets for years to come. I'd like to thank Judy Peiser for giving us insight on the history of Beale Street and the Center for Southern Folklore, and Zeke Johnson for sharing his music. I'm Scarlett Simpson. From all of us here at GHS-TV, thank you for watching Crosstalk, and I hope to see you again.
It's a song about a train called Panama Limited. It's an Illinois Central train, run from Chicago to New Orleans, run through Memphis. It's a special streamlined train that's fast. That train's so fast the hobos don't even mess with that train, they just stand by the track with a hat in the hand.